Right. Well, nice to see you all today. Guys, it's the Thanksgiving Eve 2023. Nice to see a whole bunch of the usual members here, the usual gang who shows up for our Zoom meetings. So welcome as always. Um, I don't have many announcements. I have a couple that I might worth noting. Um, First one is um, the only upcoming event that I'm aware of course, you guys feel free to pipe in, that I'm aware of is on December 2nd. There's at the Vintage Communication and Radio Museum in Connecticut. They're having a swap meet on December 2nd, I think from 8 to 12. It's on our future events page on our website. So if any of you are looking for something to do just before Christmas, perhaps even buy yourself that early Christmas gift if you didn't find anything at all Brookline. Yes, at the Vintage Radio and Communications Museum of Connecticut, their swap meet goes from 8 to 1 p.m. So just in case you didn't know. Another thing I need to alert you guys on is for Castleton. If you want to rent a table on the table space page link on our website, we ran into a PayPal wrinkle. Long story short is what we're using with PayPal has since changed under us. So how we do it has changed significantly. So we're trying to rework this, but we're trying to do this, as a background effort between myself and Alan and Joe. So what we've had to do for an interim solution is that Joe Coco has graciously allowed us to purchase the tables through his website. So the point is, I'm going to share my screen for a moment, just to show you. It'll essentially be, so you'll still pick your table on our website page as you normally do under table space, but it's going to go to put up a form that's under Joe's website effectively. So you effectively will be paying Joe, who will then reimburse the club. So you're buying through Joe. Now, in fact, I'll just give you a quick share my screen just so you see what I mean here. There we go. Just let me know when you guys can see this. So this is the services table, the order your table page, as you has been on our website, right, all along. And of course, here, we have the table layout, which you can, of course, click and see the table layout at Castleton. And then you can download the version of the Castleton layout, just like we've done. But all these changes occurred to prepare for the website for Castleton coming up in March. So what I've done here is, this text pretty much is what you've always seen. I just put in a warning right here that basically says, that, the club's table ordering via PayPal stopped working for now. Until we can fix this, Joe Coco has graciously agreed to allow us to process Castleton show table ordering and rental payments through his site. So when you click on add to cart or view cart, you'll be going to wjoe.com for secure payment. So when you click, we offer the 4 options you can do, which is you have the 1 by 8 foot table, 2, 3, or 4. You can have a maximum of 4 tables you can order. So you just will do is when you click on it, you'll click on it. For example, you want to order 1 table, just click on the cart, and it's just going to bring up WJOE Radio's website. So it's just a temporary solution right now. Oops, clicks on this twice. Cart. But just as a heads up, now in the background, Alan and I are working on this to see if we can restore. Alan's done a mock-up, and I think we have an opportunity to restore PayPal the way it was, but in a different use, new method. Basically, we're using the old method. Somewhere along the way, when we were updating our site for using, for Castleton, it either recognized we're using an old approach and basically stopped working. So we've been feverishly working in the background trying to get this up and going, and we're almost there. But at least we have a interim solution that will get the job done. And big thank you to Joe for making this possible, because it just takes us out of a little bit of a bind. Otherwise, we would have had to have really put everything else aside to make sure we got this done ahead of time. So
John,
sorry.
it's really important for some of us to be able to get a table with electricity. So I don't see the option there, but as you redevelop, fix the site, keep that in the back of your mind, if you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. The only thing I'll warn with Castleton is its power availability is fairly limited, from what I recall. Now, I missed the first Castleton event because I was sick, but from what I hear, power. What you might want to do if you order the tables, if you want power, is reach out to Paul or Roger about that. Maybe they can make sure, because I think there's some floor outlets. So you might want to just reach out to them, just give them a heads up, and maybe they can work you into somewhere where there might be some power on there. But Castleton's a little bit different compared to, let's say, Brookline, where the power is, of course, border along the entire wall space there. So that's my understanding. So probably best, if you're going to order some tables, order it in the not too distant future. Sometime this year, calendar year, is probably good enough. Like I said, with some luck, maybe we'll get PayPal restored the way it was. And
I was specifically thinking of Brookline because I know that whatever you develop might just the electricity might fall off the map there, and just sort of, if you tuck it away.
No, absolutely, Tom. We when we work on the new site, because I know most of you are aware that in the background we are working on a new website platform. But unfortunately, we've been slowed down. We selected the platform, and now they start working on the mock-up before then we turn into a real website. But we've run into these wrinkles with our existing website to first take our existing website and convert it to Castleton, because Castleton's, what you can buy, you can only get 8-foot tables in Castleton. And also the table layout's different. So I just had to do the website work to do that. And then we stumbled upon the PayPal wrinkle, which ironically, you can renew your membership. And since I'm here, I may as well just offer a reminder about, don't forget to renew your membership if you haven't already done so. The renewing your membership, PayPal still works. So I don't know why it still works. I'm not touching it. So it is a little bit of bifurcation going on here. But if Alan and I can get this going smoothly, his mock-up, we might convert both the membership and the table ordering to the new PayPal format. It'll be essentially seamless to the rest of you. But we're trying to work through this carefully, because everything is we just want to be a little bit careful. And of course, we're hitting it around time where members want to use the website to either renew the membership or order their tables. And so we're right now we have a stable state. That's the key thing. But to your point, Tom, yes, when we do Brookline, what we need to be able to do is we're going to try to do an ordering system that allows you to effectively have one ordering page. So you'll do Castleton tables and Brookline tables without power, and have it in one big menu thing, because it shouldn't require constant twiddling of the website if we do this cleanly, or do it in a way that doesn't require a lot of administrative work. I don't mind doing the work, honestly don't, but now that I'm getting used to it and having, learning HTML baptism by fire, it's still tedious. So something more modernized will be nice. But anyway, yes, absolutely. All of this feedback. And of course, once we're going to do a heavy review on the website before we even let the hounds, loose. So we will walk through this with you guys once we're ready to let it loose. But I honestly don't think, this is just my guess, that the way things are going, I would be surprised if we have the new website online before spring Brookline. So don't be surprised if we're using the old website, but around spring Brookline, and we try to cut over during that quiet time. So that's how it's going right now. And I appreciate you guys' patience and understanding when we have these little, but at least we have backup plans. So it's really what we're trying to do, is make sure we're back. So anyway, that's sorry for prattling on about that, but at least gives you guys some insight as to what's going on. So if you are trying to order a table and you say, "Huh, this is different," now you know why.
Ron, I think PayPal is changing over at the end of December because I know they offer the machine that we have at church. I had to order a new one, and they're
See,
changing over to some new company. So they be too.
it's. I mean, I honestly believe that the changes in PayPal are really all for the better because I think it is a more secure environment that we will find ourselves adopting. But so it's probably for the better, but it's just a little bit inconvenient for us right now. But I appreciate that feedback, Len, because it means that it may be that we may have to address our website, our membership renewal also, because that may come up as well. I kind of told Bob, well, I'm going to leave it alone until it breaks. And then when it breaks, we have to start.
And it broke.
It's always something. But at any rate, that's, I think, all the announcements I have. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Tom does.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Greg for sending out the announcement of the ARCI meeting, Antique Radio Club of, is it Illinois, Greg?
Illinois, yes.
Okay, and it was fabulous. There were a number of people who did short presentations and just blew my socks off. I'm still looking for one of them because Greg showed some of his restorations and they are beyond. And it was really fabulous. I didn't see anyone else there. And I really think you missed out on an amazing thing. Greg, tell us a little bit about it. And are they always on the same day and so on?
Well, they do. I think every other month they'll have one on Saturday mornings like that, and it starts at 10 o'clock Central Time, so it's 11 o'clock out east there, and it generally lasts 2 hours, till noon, and they have about 20-minute, 15-20-minute presentations, and then they have a kind of an open forum. They'll discuss club business, so you can have wants and for sale items and things like that. And they were all blown away by you, Tom. You really impressed them. I talked with both Toms. Called me the next day and said, "Oh, wow, we got to get in touch with him. He's really great." So you'll be tapping into you for some presentations, I'm sure.
That's fun, but you really stole the show. I hope maybe you do one of those, just one of those restorations for us here, because they are mind-boggling. I can't even describe these. They were so perfect. I was going to try and kidnap you and get you to come over to Vermont and help me with restorations of these damn Enigma machine. The cabinets on the Enigmas are 70 to 80 years old, and they've been through the war.
Literally.
And I need help. And unfortunately, the guy I've had doing it is in very last stage cancer. So I'm devastated about that. But if you're ever traveling east, you got a very well-paying job ahead of you.
Well, like I said in the meeting, it's a lot of trial and error. It's not rocket science or anything like that. It's just getting used to using toners and sanding sealer and clear enamel to coat everything with, and decals, and
Yeah, but
masking things off.
You had some chemicals there that I've never seen before. I think that they're half the magic or a quarter of the magic. Amazing.
Well, I think a number of people know about Mohawk toners. It's just like a spray. It tints the wood. It's not like a wood stain where you take out a can and wipe it on with a rag. This is, you mist it on different coats, different shades, and you can mask off different portions of the cabinet, make it lighter or darker. That's really the fun of it, is trying to figure out what's going to look best, lighter or darker.
Well,
So
Greg, you're
playing around
always
with that.
welcome. You're always welcome to give us a presentation. Because you'll never hear complaints out of this side. And of course, do come out.
Would you consider doing that first one that you showed here? Would that be a possibility?
Sure, we could do that. if we had a spot sometime, when we get through some of the pictures of the club meets and things like that, and we've got to get through your pictures once time. I feel bad. I interrupted you a few times with some of mine, and you're still on last year's presentation from that German meet. But
Well, John is very good about fitting people in. So if you
Hey,
got the story, we got the time.
hey, you know what? I'm not picky. I'm always happy to let people, drop in wherever they want. And I try not to keep it too, admittedly, I try not to keep it too structured here intentionally, just the nature of the people here. So, Greg, if you felt like you're up for it next meeting or the meeting after, we still have to think about what our Christmas, the last meeting of the year will be, but we'll, you're absolutely welcome because we enjoy seeing some of the handiwork. The photos are and because you just see different things, but seeing member work is always to me a huge plus.
And getting back to what Tom said, what I can do is every time they have another meeting with the Illinois Club, I can send it out in the group's IO, and it's free to join. You just have to register with your name and email address so they know where to send the link to, and you don't have to be a member of the club to be a part of it. So hopefully we'll get some more people joining in because I know they enjoy sharing what they do with clubs all around the country. I mean, we're kind of a band of brothers here. It doesn't matter where you live. We all have the same interests. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. To make sure I clear my Saturdays in the future when I see the posting, try and be at home in time. Usually I'm doing all my errands Sunday, Saturday morning, so I just get home.
I keep discovering new groups also. I've become quite active in the LICW club, and that officially stands for Long Island Morse Code Club. It actually has over 4,000 members all over the world. We have people coming in from all over Europe and South America into the club meetings, and they don't just focus on CW and telegraph keys, although that's fun for me. But Bruce joined us a couple of times on this, and they have a really fun boat anchor forum where people are showing off and restoring the old things that are right in back of Bruce there. And he could actually be a boat anchor presenter here if you ever want to do that, Bruce. We'd love to have you just go around and point at things and tell us what the heck we're looking at.
Oh yeah, you'd be absolutely welcome, Bruce. You'll have quite a backdrop. Actually, I would say a good number of you actually have some pretty good backdrops there. Russ has a good looking one. Of course, we always see yours, Tom, and oh, look at that. So you've got quite a bit there, Bruce. So we'll have to schedule you in because I have to think about what 2024 will be. So we can certainly take some opportunity to get you guys to show your stuff. I see a lot
of course it's true for everybody. Len had wonderful stuff showing. Many
Absolutely.
people have over the years, and that's really what keeps it fun and keeps us going. Bruce, that's amazing. How does your floor handle the weight? That looks like it'll drop right on through.
Well, actually, it's post and beam. Well, actually, it wouldn't be a post. It's a system of beams that I secured from a country inn that was being remodeled. So the structure underneath of me is pretty hefty.
We think we have trouble finding a spot to put something. Bruce has to not only find a spot to put it, but he's got to be sure it's not going to fall through.
The last thing we need to do is see Bruce, in one of our Zoom meetings, suddenly see boom. Yeah, no, that's for sure. That's impressive stuff. Impressive and also impressive in weight.
Yeah.
But
well, actually, if I can take just a second, I saw on the IO thing today, the topic of a Raycal RA-17 showed up, and several people commented on it. And I can't move my computer too much right now, but I think Chuck, who commented on it, there is one right here.
Ah.
Is that the one that was on the bedroom floor, Bruce?
Yes, that's correct.
Bruce,
Not
we
my
orchest-
bedroom. It was an estate.
Yeah, I know. Bruce orchestrated a very serious and quite successful attempt to help the estate of a Silent Key dispose of a lot of equipment. And one of the things I noticed that in this person's bedroom, this receiver was down at the foot of the bed, and right next to his bed, instead of a nice, pretty table radio, he had a Collins 32S2 shortwave receiver. So, whatever people like, they put them near their bed.
Well, makes a nice nightstand, right?
And good heat.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs a heated blanket? You can get that thing, just fire it up and you're good to go. That's great. Yeah, no, in general, guys, in general, you're welcome to show your collection or give us a walkthrough or anything like that. There's no formal presentation as needed here. I mean, I think you guys know by now where we try to keep it low key and just make it feel like just a get together than it is a formalized agenda. But at any rate, well, then without further ado, Tom,
John.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Yes,
John. No, I just wanted to know if I could share something, a couple of recent acquisitions, and it'll be quick because I'll tell you what, it's nowhere near as exciting as a 46 Hudson, I got to tell you. But well, you guys know me, and anyway, can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone here pretty much knows what a magic eye tube is. Of course you do. You got me in the club. And if you don't, you can always reach out to me and I can give you a quick primer. But you guys know what that is. Anyway, this probably, I'm guessing none of you maybe have heard of the magic finger tube. Anyone?
No. Do tell.
Well, anyway, this story starts here. I'm in Tokyo, and these are sake kegs. And anyway, when wandering around Tokyo, I landed, as soon as I see the word radio, I gotta go, okay, what's going on here? And this Akihabara is like the tech capital, really, old and new tech. And the further inside you go, the more you start to see more vintage and more like experimenter and ham stuff. You can see the ICOM and the Alinco over here in this picture. And there's obviously some ham stuff going on there as well. But anyway, I got to talking with somebody because I wanted to find this particular tube or a couple of tubes from Japan that I wanted. Couldn't find them. Anyway, the guy contacted me a month ago and said, I got your tube and it's new in the box. And this is something that he said, well, these are real rare. And if you find one, it's burnt out. So there is such a thing as a magic finger tube. It says it on the box, like this one that says magic eye. And you can see why when you look at what it looks like. It's very kind of finger-like with a very narrow target. And anyway, I got a quickie little video. It's hard to see here, but you can see it illuminate the same way a magic eye tube would. It has a shadow, which gradually closes as the voltage at the ABC gets more.
Wow, that is cool.
And from what I can see, it's one of the rarest ones there is. I finally got it. Paid silly money, which is sad because my cards were out on the table with this one, but I had also spent my budget way before spring Brookline when Bruce Phillips started to liquidate his collection. Anyway, the purpose of this tube was to be not only a tuning indicator, but also a dial pointer. Now you can barely see it on this radio here, but here's a close-up of the dial. You can see it behind the dial, so it actually moves. So the whole thing moves around. Probably one of the rarest of the tuning indicator types. Now, as if that wasn't enough, and as if I hadn't blown my budget already for the year, something else showed up, not from Japan, but this is from Australia. And this is the amalgamated wireless valve. This is a demonstration unit for like a classroom. The tube on the left is very similar to the Westinghouse WL 787 and almost the same size. It's about the size, a little smaller than a Coca-Cola can. And anybody who's seen my demonstration can see what it does. I don't know if you guys can see that. I know it's not the greatest video.
Like blinds.
What's interesting though is the one on the right. There's nothing like it in the US, but all it is consider a single axis cathode ray tube, like an oscilloscope tube, and the line goes back and forth on that triangular shaped target.
Wow.
There's a focus. And so again, I paid silly money and then silly money to get it here from Australia in good shape. The thing I like about that second tube, you can see the deflector plates. It's a very simple tube. You can see where the electron stream comes through that part. And why I find that interesting is that it's the closest tube to the very first design that Alan Dumont had made back in 1932. So just something I wanted to share with you guys. Like I said, not as exciting as a 46 Hudson, but for me anyway, the Magic Eye nerd, it's fun stuff.
That's really interesting. Now, Howard, on that second tube, is it when it's pointing vertical is when it's at maximum tuning?
Well, it wasn't made to be a tuning indicator. It was just made as a voltage indicator. That just means the two deflector plates have the same potential on them.
I see.
If it goes more positive on one of the deflector plates, that line is going to pull in that direction. So
I see.
Like I said, it's almost just like a oscilloscope tube with only one axis.
Wow. That is cool.
Very rare, and just another thing to add to the Magic Eye Museum. So,
John, may I jump in?
Oh, of course.
I think I still have it, but at one point I had a neon tube about the diameter of a AA cell and about half again as long, and it had one long electrode and two short electrodes in the base, and this was some kind of a tuning indicator, Magic Eye type thing. And I'm not quite sure what it was called or what it was used in, but I would say that the one I had probably came from the 1930s, late 30s, early 40s. Does that ring any bells?
Yes, that's called a Visoglow or a Tune-A-Lite, T-U-N-A-L-I-T-E. If you go to my website, magiceyetubes.com, and you click on relatives, it shows some of the neon tuning indicators. And if you want to, I'll put a link in the comments so you can go there and you can see that tube in action. There are a couple different types. Some actually had 4 electrodes, so that when the neon bar got low, it kind of dropped off one of the other electrodes, which enabled silent tuning. Those were used in Spartan, Feta. Atwater Kent had them in some of their sets as well. But I'll send the link in the chat here.
Thank you.
Howard, did you have any trouble getting those tubes through customs?
I didn't. They came through the mail. It did take time for them, much longer, and I noticed that the ones from Australia took much longer than the ones from Japan to clear customs.
I know when I sent tubes to Australia, the guy that I would send them to was worried about that because they used to confiscate, dangerous for some reason. So you had to put that they weren't tubes. You had to put they were electronic pots on the customs form.
Yes.
Or else they sometimes confiscated.
Yeah, I mean they got here, and I think the guy that shipped them kind of did his research and knew what they were doing. But I do notice the ones from Australia took much longer to clear through customs. So
yeah.
But of course, it was an entire assembly too. So
Yeah, that's true too.
I think that's just wonderful the way you went to that basically Radio Row in Tokyo. I did the same thing in Beijing in China and walked through this huge building full of stuff. And my eye was caught by this Sony 800 gig flash drive. And it was the package was sealed. It was obviously Sony. When I went about 20 years ago, there was no such thing as even an 8 gig flash drive. So I knew this thing was definitely hokey. And I have been told that whatever you're asked for in price, offer 1/100th of what you're asked and you may get it. And sure enough, they asked me for $600 for this, which would have been a reasonable price at that time if it had really been an 880 gig flash drive. And so I offered them, sure enough, $6, and I walked away with it. Just totally for fun. I got it home and I hooked it up to see what the heck's going on. Sure enough, my computer showed 880 gigs of storage. And so I started loading stuff into it. And as soon as I got 4 megabytes in it, it started erasing the first thing that I put in. So it was really a 4 meg flash drive, but being sold as an 880 gig. And I asked them, how can they get away with this? Why would they do such a thing? The packaging, as you can see, is just absolutely flawless. It is no way you could tell that that's not Sony. And I was told that the Chinese have a philosophy that if they can get away with it, that's all that matters.
Now, if you look really, really close, you probably see a little decimal point between the 2 8s, right?
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, hey, Lou, what you got there?
Well, we're talking about tuning eye tubes. And this is some type of an indicator tube. I don't know if you can pick it up, but there's 4 plates in this, and it's a 5-pin tube. I think it might have had something to do with early television, but it's an unusual tube with the 4 plates and connections to them. Other than that, I don't know a lot about it. I think I did at one time, but I forgot
Interesting.
what
This is
what the hell it is.
Yeah, I
But-
have one similar to that. And I have seen them before. I'm trying to remember what exactly that is, though.
Yeah.
But yes, it is. It may be a gas-filled tube that's made to. It may be a gas-filled tube, but there's also some timing tubes that where actually it will light up each one of those squares in sequence, depending upon the gas that's inside. I'll have to look into that, Lou.
Maybe I'll put some voltages on it and see if I can get it to light up very carefully. All right.
Well, that's really interesting.
So
It's probably a-
talking about weird tubes, this little guy is a blackout tube from World War II. And as you can see, it's a light bulb and it's just totally painted. So no light is going to come out except at the very end there. And you had to put these in all of your light holders if you were going to open a window during World War II. It was they were distributed to people. I thought that was a pretty amazing little piece of historic.
Yeah, but
memorabilia.
well, it's funny you mentioned that, Tom. I'm sure you know that their military vehicles often had just their headlights with just a slit, just so you could have minimum light, but reduce the amount of output. So that goes pretty much in line. How interesting.
Yeah, it was vertical output too, to stop the being bombed in a convoy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Hey,
I
well,
often wondered what it'd be like to try and drive at night with.
oh
just
my
that
God, I was thinking about that.
little slit.
Not to mention, headlight technology isn't what it is today. So you're working with not a lot, even when they're fully, uncovered. No less when you, go to slits. But well, does anyone have any other acquisitions, other cool things? I mean, this is pretty neat. Enjoying the unusual pieces that people are coming across. All right. Well, if not, well, I guess we can start rolling out the pictures now. Tom, would you like a little time first?
Okay, I'm just gonna take you back to Friedrichshafen and show you a few more of the amazing things that show up there. If I can get to my screen
No
here.
problem.
I think that I'm pretty close to where I left off last time. Stop me if you've seen this before, but remember we're walking through a huge hangar that was originally used for making Zeppelins or dirigibles or blimps during World War I and then during World War II. And so it's full of dealers, and I'd say at least maybe 500 tables full of stuff. And the beauty of this show for me is that a large percentage of the stuff that you see there is stuff that I've never seen before. And so I find it absolutely fabulous to go to this show. Let me see if I can make this move on. Are you seeing something at this point?
Not yet. All I see
Oh.
is black. It does say
No.
you started screen sharing. Well, all I see is blackness.
Okay, let me figure out what's going on for a moment here. Maybe my computer is frozen up. Can you hear me? Let's put it that
Oh,
way.
yeah. Hear you loud, see you well, and hear you loud and clearly, Tom.
You're 5 and 9, Tom, in the central New Jersey.
Okay, well, something's happened. My computer's frozen up, so it didn't like this first picture. I guess I'm gonna have to reboot it.
Well,
Carry on.
No problem. I can pick up with Brookline, not a problem. Hello, Bob Bennett, by the way, in the dark.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. I was working on a radio project for kind of a high-profile individual, and I lost track of the time, and I didn't feel like moving everything around to get back to. So I'm kind of sitting here in the pseudo dark. I could probably half blind myself here,
Oh,
like today's modern headlights do when you drive.
Yeah. Indeed.
Demonstrating a blackout light.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
That's
Exactly. All we need is some air raid sirens to.
It's good to see you guys. Did you get any snow up your way?
Not here. No, not in Metro West Boston.
Oh, my
Um,
wife's cheating. She's turning on
had
the
about
water.
had about an inch and a half this morning.
Oh,
By 4 o'clock, it was gone.
oh,
And
just
that's in
Worcester.
Worcester. Yep.
Huh. I did not know that, Adrian. I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention to weathermen that carefully. I just assumed we were getting. I heard maybe snow mumbling. I thought the Worcester Hills or something, but it sounded like it was more than the hills.
Yeah, no, on the flat, at 600-foot altitude.
Huh.
And then it
Yeah.
turned to rain, and it rained for the rest of the afternoon. Just
Oh.
miserable.
Yeah, it is a rotten day, but it's supposed to improve tomorrow at least. I know they got snow in the southern tier of New York, so I have family down there, and they got what looked like a heavy coating, maybe half an inch, but maybe still
It's been dry down here, and we got 2 inches of rain yesterday, but we actually needed it. It was pretty dry.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess what I'll do is I will share instead. Tom, if you ever look to solve your problem, I can hand it back up to you at any time. So I think this is where we left off. When I first started the Fall Brookline, I think this is where we were, and I thought, actually, I think the person who was talking about it isn't in attendance tonight, but there was a story to be told about these Radio Shacks that someone was. I think it was Noah. Somebody was restoring one or doing some work on one. But anyway, this is where I think we had left off. So I'll move on actually to this one. So we have a projector. Those of us who are used to seeing Lee Bell and Howell, we certainly had him in all our classes as kids, in elementary school or high school. Now, they were somewhat larger units than these, but I was certainly a pro at running the thing. I enjoyed it anyway. Spent to run them.
Oh, you were a lead AV guy there, John?
Yeah, I wasn't any part of any AV club, but there was, when you see a bunch of people like looking at it, the teacher not knowing what to do, I say, well, okay, I'll do it for you. And so I just took over. It just kind of, I enjoyed doing it. It was fun. They were actually fairly straightforward, to be honest. Even debugging them when they got snarled up was actually not too bad. only once in a while you'd have like a film that was clearly used a lot, and something was amiss with the film, and it would just tangle up and become this hopeless ball of mess. And you're like, okay, that's that. You know, those Cornet
That's a
films
sound.
from the 50s. Sorry?
Yeah, that's a sound projector.
It says
That's
got a movie cassette.
It's a sound stripe projector.
Oh, is that right?
It's not yeah, it's not a normal projector, but
Oh,
well, I mean, they became normal later.
oh,
But
really? 'Cause
before 8mm film had sound stripes on it, you could actually play a regular 8mm with no sound stripe on this machine, or one with a sound stripe on it. But they never became really popular. I think videotape came in, just about killed, that area of the market.
Right. Yeah, no, that's for sure. Because in fact, it wasn't during when I was graduating, even in college, VCRs were starting to show up in lieu of, these old film projectors. But they were kind of fun. They also have that classic sound to them. Kind of missed the experience. Kind of fun.
For me, what I had fun with in junior high school was running the school's mimeograph machine.
Sure.
Because other people had tried and couldn't run it, but my best friend and I, we could run it just fine. And it got us out of a lot of French classes. That's when the principal would call us to come down.
There you go. Pretty cool. No, dying. That's right. That's you hear that mimeograph machine. That term come up very often anymore. That's for
sure. Being of an age close to Tom, when I went to school, you didn't have projectors. We had to get up on the stage and make a play. And it had to be about whatever it is, whatever the subject that you would normally photograph. We had photographs, of course. The color hadn't even come in the 50s.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. Here's a power supply.
By the way, the 1st of January, I'll be 82, so I haven't got.
Wow. So you're a January 1st baby?
Yep, January 1st. Always have been.
Well, you're a youngster. I'm 5 years older than that.
Wow.
Good there, Per.
Wow.
Very good, Per.
Fine so far.
Congratulations.
Good. Well done. Yeah.
Speaking of mimeograph machines, I can remember when somebody would print a pile of stuff recently. You'd turn around and everyone in the classroom would be smelling the paper. We just loved the smell of that.
That was ditto. That was ditto.
Yeah, they had
that was the purple ditto masters.
Exactly.
Everybody
had the paper up to their face,
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Howard.
Different.
I've long forgotten about that experience, but it's true.
This was with the printer's ink. To do, and you made stencils. You typed stencils onto special paper, and it would make holes in the paper. The keys would make holes in the paper, and the ink would then, you had to stick it onto a drum and rotate it and have ink inside the drum, and it would come out and print the pages. And it was pretty difficult to keep the thing working.
Oh, I bet that's funny, Howard. It's funny you mentioned that, because the sensory feeling of something that just came off, was not only hot off the press, it was literally, but also had that distinct odor. I haven't thought about that in many a decade.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I know this was Ken's table. In fact, part of the devices were also on Ken's. I know that Radio Shack was, but he had a bunch of multimeters he was making available. And this nice tube tester here. Yeah, that's right. Radio City Products tube tester. I remember the name. Fully restored. Actually, nice case and all. Really handsome piece. And I think it's for a very reasonable price.
Yeah, that's exactly what I used to test my tubes on. I have one of those.
Okay. Here we have a decade condenser. General Rio catalog.
I think that's like a substitution box type of thing.
Yeah, you're right. Very interesting. Again, another piece you don't see very often. Even has a Raytheon, came from Raytheon, because there's a Raytheon Bedford Lab sticker on it.
Yeah, it's a General Radio one. They made one of them for resistors too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they had a resistor sub box.
When I was in the radar lab, Raytheon radar systems, there was one guy that when he had to design an amplifier, he'd get a couple of decade boxes and simultaneously twist the dials while looking at the degree of distortion at the collector. We kind of gave him a really jaundiced eye to get him out of that habit. Nobody else see a decade design like that?
I guess not. Oh, another, I think it's another one of Ken's two testers available.
That's the one that I use.
Oh, is that right?
That's a good tester. Yeah. Actually got two of them.
Yeah, it's a nice looking box and all on that. Very, very good.
Well, I like it because you can test the early tubes in it too, the 2-digit ones that a lot of the newer testers don't have.
Mm. I know my tester does not. It's a newer one. Ah, Yamaha receiver. There's some nice, some nice pieces of more modern hi-fi systems available at the show. I remember. WJOE, Joe Coco's table, daughter of manning the fort. Not a show without Joe having at least a couple of few tables there with all his usual good parts that we need for restoring our radios. Oh yeah, this is one of those Philco
Mystery box.
mystery box.
I control it.
Bad shape overall. It looks restorable. It's all complete.
It looks like it's made of ivory.
It does, doesn't it?
That's why it's discolored.
Yeah. Can that color come out, or is it just the way ivory goes and you just have to live with it?
I
Don't
wonder
know.
if
It probably sat in a room full of smokers.
yeah.
That probably makes sense.
Or it could be very early plastic,
I think it might be tenite.
which contaminated.
Yeah.
There were several very early plastics
Mm.
before we knew what to really do with them.
I think that was tenite.
Yeah, okay. You're probably right.
There were Technics turntable. That was really nice looking. I think it was on Joe's table. I can't remember what that was, but you can see it's an erector set over to the side here. Very nice turntable. Yep. The Gilbert. You were mentioning that, Greg, earlier.
Yeah, and it was a 4-speed too, by the way.
Back in the 20s, they made some radios, AC Gilbert. And that was one of our presentations at the ARCI Zoom meeting that Tom sat in on.
Automatic radar scope set. Pretty cool. And a couple of more Yamahas. And a pumpkin behind. Ah, yes, lots of LPs. Just a reminder that there's always seller of plenty of LPs, but very reasonable money. In fact, I saw one member come out with an LP that I wish I had and went back to look for it, and I guess he bought the last one he had, so I was a little bit bummed. But that's okay. I'll get it next time. And here's a reel-to-reel Webcore, probably from the what I'd say late '60s, early '70s, maybe. Ah, yes, the gentleman with the vintage deck machines, be it the early desktops, and of course the digital voice synthesizer. It's actually pretty neat. One right here, in fact. See which model it is. I personally forget. It's a VAX. It's a VAX station. That's right. It's a digital VAX. Giving you a log. Yeah, login here for digital. It's pretty cool. That is a bygone era. We have on where I work, on our floors, our conference rooms are dedicated on our floor to New England famous inventors or technologists. And one of our rooms is Ken Olson, of course, for digital. And here's another. This is an early Dell. Forgive me, Dell Dimension. That's probably that looks like late '90s, maybe. Looks about right. Looks about an late '90s. $200 with the monitor. To play solitaire with vintage. Okay, back to radios. Here's this nice GE. Like AM only radio. Pretty small size. RCA. There's bound to be at least one of these that show up at our shows. Looks to be in pretty nice shape. Cleaned up. I forget whose table that was, though. I almost want to say it was Henry Tessier's, but I could be wrong. Same was another RCA Victor. I see. So this must be the dial pointer that floats across. It's rather nice. Hello, Tom.
Yeah, sorry about that. Let me figure out what's going on with the audio.
No problem. Oh, here's a nice helicopters. Yeah, that was really nice. Worldwide helicopters. Look at the condition on this.
That's the TW-2000. That's
right.
One of their transoceanic clones.
Yeah, actually,
out of the 3 models that they made of that radio, that's the nicest one right there. My opinion, anyway.
And on sale for, I'd say, fairly reasonable money, $125.
That's about the right number.
Especially if it works, I'd say it's fairly reasonable. Yeah, you can see there's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of the cloning, the different sound switches and so forth. Just like I had sold an L600 TO that's the same kind of switch. Nice looking radio though. Bogan. FM tuner. FM 50. $50. $1 per number. And below is a Marantz. Pretty nice. What do we have?
Wow.
Silvertone.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I do see it. Good catch there, Howard. Not in bad shape. I mean, the grill cloth could certainly use a little bit of cleanup, but that's where you go to reach out to Mike Katz for.
That's an unusual cabinet. It's kind of half tombstone, half cathedral.
Yeah, isn't it?
I believe that was the World's Fair model,
Oh,
the
okay.
36 World's Fair, 1936. I believe that's what that model was. Two push-pull 45s in the output.
Wow.
It's a nice radio.
I know about that.
Yeah, they'll have plenty of volume.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a fairly nice condition overall. I mean, more than restored. It looks like all the knobs look correct and all there. So look like, you know, could easily be brought up to a pretty nice level. I guess the hard thing with dealing with these, like word inset stripes. It's like it's silver paint. I mean, I could be wrong, but it looks like something like that, like a flat silver. Arian. Actually, reasonable shape.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice. $35. If it works, that's a pretty good deal. Well, that was
I
time
think
for
that might be a model 40-120, I think. 121.
This is from 1940, Greg?
1940, right. Oh, there's a Westinghouse.
Westinghouse. Yes, very nice. That looks like that's been probably restored. That grill cloth looks suspiciously
Looks a little
new.
newer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one like that with the original grill cloth, and it was a different pattern than that.
Okay. It does look newer to me. Just it doesn't look that period.
Yeah,
So
I think it's from 1935, 36. It's actually a 5-tube radio with the early TRF. There's no AVC, and it's a kind of a primitive design, but it played fairly well.
it's only a nice looking radio. Well, now we'll just skip ahead to the GE. Little portable, AM, FM portable. You can tell it must be from the 60s. That even the GEs use push buttons for their band selectors. The early 70s, the newest maybe. Emerson. Nice looking set.
Very nice, yeah. That looks like it could be a Plascon cabinet.
Yeah, it looks to be in nice shape. But, you know, it looks like maybe I don't know whether that was a crack that was fixed or just a mark, but otherwise, really nice condition. This radio.
That's probably a weld line in the molding. Injection molded.
Oh, really? So this just came out of the factory that way. So it makes it even more interesting that it looks remarkable condition.
Yeah, that's not painted. I think that's molded in white.
It's really nice. And especially with white, you know, white plastic, especially early plastics, is always subject to like discoloration and not normal decay because it shows everything. This is a really wonderful condition. Oh, this was I know whose table this is. It'll come to me later. His name. These radios. This is Stuart Warner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Basic AM radio. Nice GE AM FM. I seriously thought I almost bought this. Almost did. He was asking reason why. I think there was something silly wrong with it. Oh, I know it had some cracks. That was it. I think it had a cracked case. You could see the line.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't serious. Remember he said to me, I remember his name. He there every meet, and I'm just having a brain freeze. He was offering, I think he was offering like $30. I almost jumped at it. I ended up doing something else, but you'll see later. Nice radio, nice looking radio, actually. Reminds me a little bit of the Zenith of that time with the AM/FM radio. Can't remember the Zenith, the model number, but there's one that sort of has a roughly similar design.
Right. Yeah, I know the one you mean. It's very common. You always seem to see one of those at every meet.
You're thinking of one that used to have like a model of an eagle on the front of it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's I don't remember the model number of that one.
There's a good chance there'll be one that'll pop in. I can't remember when I was at the show, but Greg, you're right. It was almost surely one pops up in every show, and I think there was one here. They're pretty cool. Yeah, of course, it wouldn't be a show without at least one TO. And there were many. I can test because I sold one, because I sold a couple of radios on behalf of a friend. So
that one looks pretty clean.
Yeah, this one's the one I sold was in good shape, but not great shape. This is in somewhat nicer condition. Mine was an L600 that I sold.
Mm-hmm.
Its one weakness would have come in and more money is that a crack on the top of the wave magnet plastic. Something must have landed on it. It's all, that vintage plastic, it starts getting brittle and something must have dropped on it, quite a crack. None of the plastic was missing that I can recall, but a crack is like a vintage mirror that has a crack in it. It's going to drop its value. So whoever got it got a really good deal on it. The radio otherwise works. It needed the normal restoration you would need, but I did bring up in a Variac, and it was not doing anything scary. So for someone I got it for a cool $25.
I see a pretty bad hole right by the lower pointer there, John. If you enlarge it, I'm not sure whether it's in the.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's probably why it was cheap.
Oh, that's I know what this one price. Mine was 25 that I sold. I know I wanted to give someone a good solid starter radio. And $25 is going to be more than fair. Not also realistic, because you know what, Bruce had told me that I sent pictures of maybe $50 tops. You said 25 to 50. I chose the lower end.
That's a really interesting hole, though. It's not like a crack. It's almost like somebody was holding a soldering iron and they got drunk.
You know what? It's
cigarette.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
they got distracted. Somebody got distracted.
Yeah.
I think all the writing is on that too, so you couldn't just replace the whole thing unless you were really lucky to find one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It was a good catch. Good catch there, Tom.
Thank you. I've been taken too many times to let something like that go by.
Yes, indeed.
They wanted to make sure they had that station marked, that the audience could go back to it.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's the way to do it. Oh, burn that station in. This is unusual. I was just seeing this little, is that a cap gun? I wasn't sure, but I just happened to see it, and I said, well, it's worth, or maybe that's just really a plaque. Maybe that's really what it is. I'm not sure. It's a holder. I guess it's really a plaque.
Yeah, it's just a molding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just interesting. I just haven't been taking photos, taking a bunch. I said, well, that's different. And of course, here is the battery cell tester right here. That was kind of worth a look. A Willard.
I think Willard was a battery manufacturer for cars.
Right.
That sounds right.
And radios.
And radios. That's right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
I like those probes. It looked like that could do serious damage.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like transoceanic dial face.
Yeah.
And
Well, they double the-
they're for measuring skin resistance. You have to dig them right in.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
The bloodier the better.
I think they're designed to penetrate insulated wires.
Good
Oh.
point. Good point, Bruce. You're right.
Yeah. And apparently skin too.
Yeah.
And they're well insulated in case you're measuring a 300-volt battery.
Right.
Right.
Unlikely, but you never know.
Indeed.
It's an Olympic.
Here's an Olympic.
Yes.
This one's an okayish shape. I mean, it's all there. Needing a good cleanup, minimally. Good looking dial face on that. Reminds me, Bruce had just sold a Philco with a similar looking design. I was tempted.
Yeah, the
That's a good
dial's
look.
tilted. It's tilted at the top, tilted backwards.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Very nice effect.
Yeah, I like it. I'm sure it's nicely lit up, probably with a backlight, probably makes for a nice. I know the Philco had a similar, the one that Bruce was selling. It was a rather attractive radio, about the same size too. Rather compact radio. This time
The dial bulb is actually right in the middle behind the pointer, so it actually fans the light out all over.
Yeah, that's what the Philco did too, Greg. Yeah, exactly. Stuff. You just got a bunch of stuff, a single cell medical battery box.
Yeah, that's a quacker right there.
Yeah, it was worth taking because look at that. I mean, it's just like, pretty scary. Even has a strap, just also the same strap that you would use a larger one to keep the unwilling victim to the table.
Go back up to the, yeah, let's read the, what does it say at the top?
Yeah, let's see what we got here. Directions for using single cell medical battery. Step 1, to find an unwilling victim. Says a small
charge as much as you can.
Let's see. I can get pretty far.
And 3, make any claims that the patient wants to hear.
That's right. Tell them what they want to hear. It's got a rheotome or current interrupter. So it says a small switch to the right of base. It's used to put battery in operation. Cells working only when the switches. No, not touching the wood. Scary stuff. Made the foot plate electrode. Interesting. And some nice diagrams here. Couple of pieces, what comes in the box. Oh, in case you need parts, it's the ordering. I guess if you need to order, you're missing parts. Yeah, it was kind of fun. I just happened to spot it. I said, well, it was worth a shot. All is rather, clean up. But actually, a good, attractive box in reasonable condition. You have to get some of the paint off, but I mentioned that can be taken off. Be finished.
There's so many of those things out there. It's just amazing. I think you got to give Heathkit a lot of credit for not ever producing a medical battery kit. I guess they realized they'd be sued.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, the reason for the spare parts list is after you've been shocked by this thing, you put your fist out and smash it to bits.
That's right. Well, the patient breaks away from their strapping, knocks it aside, parts go flying, and so invariably have to get more parts.
Right. And the display model has not been repaired.
No, you can see it's seen some tough days and tough usage. And some very dissatisfied patients.
One thing, and I'm sure, Tom, I'm sure you've seen this with your quack devices. If you read the advertisements for a lot of these, they'll say, if you use this on another patient, you have to get these other parts, otherwise it won't work correctly. So they actually said, well, basically, this is only going to work. It's going to lose its effectiveness if you use it on more than one patient. So people would go and buy more of them.
Yeah, see?
I've seen that in some of the advertisements, like the electric hairbrush one.
Right, there you go. You know?
And Howard is a great locator of these things. This is thanks to Howard. I ended up with this wonderful what is it? Let me see. It's a surgical oven.
A surgical oven.
For baking your head and making headaches go away, baking your knee and making arthritis go away, and anything in between, complete with instructions and a nice little label on the back.
Oh. It's not like the predecessor to the Easy Bake Oven.
Yeah.
And it does get very hot, but I'm glad Tom ended up with that.
Is
Yeah, it
that
feels so
before
good when it's 30 below zero outside?
you use that after or before using the one on the screen?
Put it on your head.
Yeah, nice. Did you plug it in?
Don't dare.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. This was actually kind of neat. This vintage realistic set. I kind of remember these from the 80s, you know. Whenever I went into Radio Shack. They're actually reasonably priced. You know, so you get the little red stain off. You should be able to get that off. Someone created their own little preset indicator or something, you know. But
Yeah.
with the Lafayette stereo amplifier
And speakers.
and yeah, a couple of realistic speakers. You know, I thought that was actually a nifty little set. I caught my eye just because of more for sentimental reasons. You know, showing up in the late 70s, early 80s. You know, in Radio Shack. You know, and always seeing these things. You know, littering their shelves. I kind of admired that. I liked their size. Form factor was really quite good. I don't know how good the speakers sound, but you know, I thought they were not unreasonable at the time. There you go. It's a Motorola 5-way. I think it's a car radio.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Look at this thing. This is pretty. This is like 20s or early 30s stuff.
I'm guessing pre-war might be like 40, 41 somewhere in there.
Oh, okay, newer than I thought. Okay, I was thinking it was older than that, but I'm sure you're right. Yeah, here's the.
Yeah, there's the control head.
Yeah, but look at it. It's all these separate parts. I mean, you've got, you know.
Those were in Chrysler products, that control head.
I was going to say that looked like it was for some Mopar product.
From about 40 to 48, something like that.
Oh, good call there, Perera. Well, then, there we go. Oh, interesting.
It's actually very similar to that Tucker head I've got, that Tucker radio.
Oh, yeah.
Push buttons just said Tucker instead of a.
That's right. That was really cool. That's really.
I did a Tucker radio for a guy that was restoring a Tucker 5 years ago, and
Yeah,
that was a cool radio. That's actually got motorized tuning and all kinds of stuff in it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Motorized tuning. That's pretty slick for that
Well,
time.
that's how the presets worked on it. It wasn't like the physical actuation of a lever moving it to a certain part on a dial. You had a motor that was in there. But the funny thing is that the same radio that went into Tucker was a radio that actually went into some year Plymouth. So it was literally the same radio. I forget, it's a Motorola radio.
Yeah. Like you said, I think that the Tucker had a different color to the case.
Yeah, the Tucker was like a kind of a copper browns in color,
Yeah.
and the one that went into Plymouth was like a hammer tone blue.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. It's neat. It was neat though to see that. Yeah, what this is.
That looks like a birdhouse ready to electrocute a bird.
Well, speaking of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you do is you put like a little like bird seed or something right at the end there, and Lands on it, closes shut, and
That was probably put together by a deranged individual that really loved their cat. Probably coerced the cat and getting the bird into that box, and then cat had dinner. You know, I wouldn't have to open
yeah,
up the box
pre-cooked.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who needs a
I wanna-
rotisserie?
I want to say that that's an early power disconnect because it looks like that thing with the slot is the end of a fuse, like a replaceable element fuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And when you push that part, that wooden part in, it looks like it has a handle. Maybe it engages with something in the back that's dark that we can't see.
Could be.
I don't know, but that's what I see when I look at that. You push it in and it engages the fuse with something back there. I could be totally wrong though.
It's a good guess. The insulator back there is obviously high voltage. The only thing that argues against your guess is that if you opened the circuit, it would produce a huge spark and this thing would burn up.
Yeah, the screw slot is for fine adjustment, the spark.
That's funny.
That was a knife switch to power up Fred Flintstone's house.
Oh, there we go. I'm still liking the easy bake bird cooker.
Bird oven.
Bird oven.
When I was a kid growing up, my sister had all these like little plastic appliances made by Susie Homemaker. This is like Susie Bird Cooker here.
There you go.
Bird here.
Boom. You know, you just see like like the Cody, the Roadrunner cartoons, like the bird be smoking. Burnt. You just see the whites
If
of
you
his
turn the
eyes.
box around, it says Acme Bird Cooker Company.
Actually, it's part of a bird watt meter.
Oh man.
This is too much fun.
Yeah, indeed.
Is this legal?
Oh,
This
that's
is
all
too
right.
much fun.
There we go. A Westinghouse areola receiver. Look at the paperwork on it. It's actually pretty cool.
yeah.
Not sure what year this is from, but pretty neat. The one tube. Asking 145.
I wonder what tube they used in that one. Is that a WD-11 maybe?
You know what? He does, because he says right here, good filament, WD-11. You called it.
Oh, okay.
Good.
That was just a guess on my part. I had a radiola, and that had a couple of WD-11s in. I kind of modded it out to. I got adapters that I could put in 199s, and made it work a whole lot better.
That's pretty nifty.
Oh,
Gosh, here.
That's some iron.
That is,
Yeah.
but who exactly makes it is unclear to me. I don't know. I don't know who makes this. I don't see the. Well, let me see if this $35. So that doesn't help.
That's a 4-pin rectifier tube, probably right there,
Yeah.
nestled in between the power transformer and those filters. Interesting. Looks like the output tubes are metal.
It looks like a European amplifier
Could
to
be.
me.
But I will say this: if it is, it's not. It's obviously not German. It's all straight English, unless it's from England.
Yep.
Yeah,
Looks like
B&H,
6L6s.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
The other thing it could be is like a homebrew kind of, or partially from a console. If you look to the right of the 6L6 up and back, there's a socket there. And that's similar to what's used on like some of those Magnavox consoles that goes to a speaker that has a field coil and the output transformer mounted on the speaker
Yeah.
itself. And
Yeah.
looks like
This is made in the U.S. It makes it. That sounds like a reasonable guess there, Howard. Especially since these are made in the United States. Chances are it probably would have been all made in Europe if they were European.
interesting.
Yeah, just looking at the text, the font strikes me as like, definitely like late 30s, maybe early 40s, but late 30s is what that reminds me of. Mid to late 30s.
Yeah, it looks like the font that Silvertone used, but that iron in the back right corner, that does not look original to the unit.
Oh, okay.
Could have been a kit.
I'm just wondering if that isn't a theater amp.
Yeah,
You know,
it's,
like
it's-
movie
especially
theater.
since it's record and master gain. Yeah, if you look at that, with the
Yeah.
not a radio, that's for sure, an amplifier, especially record. Maybe onto something there.
That's just purely speculation. I don't know. For $35, though, it
Speculation
might be
works.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Probably, maybe not quite that, but not far off of $1 a pound.
Yes.
Ah, Bruce, you'll recognize this. The Orelco. I think I showed that last time. Ah, a Lafayette. Got a good looking dial face on this. Looks pretty well there. Although
Actually, I brought that home, and it works.
Oh,
The on-off switch connected to the volume control is stuck in a permanently on condition, but I started fooling around with it, and it actually tunes in stations
oh,
and
all right.
plays.
Looks all
Yeah.
complete. Needs some loving, but looks complete.
Yeah, it's a project, but I think it's doable.
Yeah, I mean, just
I'm sentimental about Lafayette because I actually very briefly worked for them way back in the 50s.
And where were they? Where were they, Per?
Canal Street in Manhattan, and then later in Syosset over in Long Island.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. They had their store there. I'm sure that's where my dad went. I used to live in Long Island. I know Adrian did.
Yeah.
And then when we moved upstate, we used to go to the Lafayette store up in Albany. This was coin toss. My dad just chose the less traffic route.
Well, there was also a Lafayette store not far from Boston University.
Was there?
Yeah.
I wonder when they closed. Must have been.
It would have closed, I would think, in the 70s.
Oh, okay. That probably makes sense.
I think that's when they kind of went out of business, basically.
Yeah. I remember going in the 70s with my dad. They were open through at least, around
Well, the upper left control is a tone control, and that would either make it muffled or not muffled. The lower left is the on-off volume. The upper right is the tune, and the bottom right is a band switch.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I got standard broadcast control there.
That's a nice looking tombstone. Does the band switch have the little arrows that are colored in on them?
It has a dot on it,
Oh, I see.
I think. And they're
I
all
don't-
wood. They are.
I
Somehow,
don't know if you see it, but there's 3 triangles on it, and I think they're supposed to be painted in, and the colors are supposed to
Maybe.
correspond with the band
okay.
on that model.
Well,
but
the knobs are original.
yeah,
Yeah. And maybe this is worn off. It looks like that makes sense how because it looks black. Is this green? Like dark green? Maybe red here.
I can't remember. It's behind me in the room here, but I can't remember.
Yeah. It may be that's worn off if to Howard's point, if they made a color indicator, it may have just worn off. Yeah, it's a neat radio. I like the dial face.
nice.
You have to show it to us when you've
Yes,
read
indeed.
on it.
Here's your action
Or
item.
either I'll show it to you in the spring and you can repair it.
As they say, I should live so long, so.
Admiral TV.
Yeah, someone in the club was really into TVs, and he couldn't wait to get a hold of that one and another one there.
There was a nice Motorola that was fully, even though it was an Admiral, I think, that had all the owner's manual, all the accessories. I have a photo of it later. That was really nice TV. It's in pretty nice shape. More TVs, RCAs.
Oh, those are the RCA portables. They're pretty neat.
If you want to call that a portable. Like probably
Well, I mean, for the time anyway. I mean, they were late 50s portables.
yeah. They're probably like lifting up like a small Mack truck and both ends.
Yeah, it's like picking up a spare tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the smaller one on the left.
Yeah, you see what I was telling you, it was an RC quote portable is in that
$100.
set of two not working, as is $100 for both. Another one. I think there's the third one. Ah, that's good, Mr. Scarpelli. All his very reasonably priced tubes. This is Zenith. Share the model number. You can see it up here. Caps, $30. Pretty reasonable shape. I know it's got a little bit of a problem with the handle, it appears. For $30. Bad. Afada. I have this exact same radio. They're nice playing radios. Nice little radio. Very attractive too. One reasonably priced, $75. It is AM FM with phono. I thought they were very handsome radios for the 1948, I think. The nice real clock with the nice gold metal mesh, very attractive. Of course, another Zenith.
That's an interesting radio because that's a companion to the TO, and then they just had the AM portable by itself. But this one is rare, only that in the respect that I think it's got the 25 and 31 meter bands on it, I think. So it's actually got some shortwave bands on it, and then as well as the AM. I think they called this one the Global. If you go up on the back,
you're correct, because I think it's right behind this says Global. No shortwave, but new caps, new line cord, $35.
No, it's got shortwave on it.
You could clean this up and still be probably fairly happy with it. And I think this is Tom's radio, which means it's good to go. It's got a little basic bass and treble, little slide switch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A little clean up, a little elbow grease. You could probably make something out of this. Here's another Zenith.
6G601M, I think. Oh, there it is on the paper.
Yeah. Well,
the sailboat.
You recited it correctly there, Bob.
Yeah.
That's Oceanic Clipper.
It's missing the dial cover though.
Yeah. I know what they're asking. But $30. And this is pretty, obviously the handle's pretty.
$30, it's worth it. It's a great radio when they're working.
Yeah, maybe something like this. I don't know how you find a replacement handle. You just take this off and just live without it, or.
Well, you can make one. I mean, just go get some leather and
Yeah.
some
It's true. You can make something that's that's reasonable, yeah. Air Chief.
Hmm.
$40. Pretty reasonable shape. And chances are this is sounds right, which means it's already been recapped also. It even has selector buttons. Pretty nice. And what do we have? Say Silvertone.
General Electric, I think.
Ah, yep.
Yep.
E71. Original finish. Wow. $150 restored. Actually pretty nice shape. Even the grill cloth looks pretty original, maybe stained, but there is something to be said about having the original cloth. Not bad shape for original. RCA.
BP10.
Yeah, exactly.
I always wanted one of them, and I just picked one up not too long ago, and I got it working. Really unusual 4-tube radio. It just uses a they use 50 milliamp miniature tubes, are all 1 volt, including the amp, and then a 67.5 volt battery. And I just put a string of 7 9-volt batteries in series and got the almost 64 volts that I got to play. It works real good.
Wow.
And
That
mine
actually,
also has the original leather carrying thing. It had a strap, but you could put like swing it on your shoulder or whatever, but the strap is broken. I think that was kind of a game changer radio, because that was made before the war, and that was the first one to kind of experiment with miniature battery tubes. So
no, it's actually.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say I didn't realize it was made pre-war. That's remarkably modern looking for pre-war.
It was. I think it was ahead of its time, and the antenna is actually in the lid.
Huh. How neat. Pretty cool. I mean, that seems like fairly reasonable. As I recall, it's in fairly nice condition.
Yeah, what I've seen with those is that they're fairly plentiful, and they're not that much money. It's just kind of a fun radio.
Yeah, that's nice. Hey, Tom.
Yes.
Would you like me to? Is your laptop up for? Do you want me to hand off? Give you the last 15-20 minutes?
Okay, I'll give it a try. It should behave. You never know with these things.
Yeah, I'll stop. I'll unshare and see which. If not, I'll just pick up again for a little bit longer.
Okay, good. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. It says, okay. Okay, are we seeing that?
We do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Reboot
Yes.
did the job.
Okay. Tables full of coils, and more coils and more coils. And this is very typical of the radios you see over there. People just love crystal sets. I think that electricity is a problem in some of the areas, so the crystal set solves that problem very quickly. Although I don't know, there are 3 antenna terminals up there and 1 earth, so I guess they want to be able to pull in signals on 3 different antennas, perhaps. Interesting set. Oh, there we are. So speaking of weird tubes that glow in the dark, these I don't know enough about them to recognize them. Anybody recognize those? Maybe multi-segment, I guess.
Radio City Rockets.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And this one is a, what does it say? Figgy? Or Figgle.
Oh, okay.
not a very exciting set. I think I showed this one last time. It's typical set made by Deutsche Telefonwerk in Berlin, and microphone. Another crystal set. Just tons of these, and I guess I ought to buy one and take it home and just play with it because they're very popular over there. And another one there looks like you can plug in different crystal detectors on the top there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there are reason for doing that. That has two knobs, gross and fine, for tuning. And I guess that probably means there are two different value capacitors that are being swung by those knobs. This is an interesting little guy. I can't make out the maker, but it looks like it has 3 tubes and a coil in the back there, one of the plug-in coils. All of their coils are very nicely made, and they're just tables full of coils. So I guess people are using these sets quite a lot. Pertex battery with multiple taps for the experimenter wants to be able to do just about anything. And another, maybe the same one, radio. This one has 3 antenna terminals and 1 earth terminal up at the top there. So I guess if you had 3 different antennas, you could switch between them, but there's no switch on this. Maybe you just feed them all in. Maybe you just feed them all into the set, and it'll choose whichever the loudest signal is and feed it into your headphones. Nice looking horn, and just display cases full of wonderful things. You could spend hours just poking around in these display cases. I think that's the wooden thing in the upper right looks like a telephone receiver that you'd hold in your hand. The thing to the right of that looks like there are 2 wire wound resistors, although it's just a spring, so it may be a resistor that dissipates heat. Part of the fun, I'd say most of the fun of this show is not knowing what you're looking at and having a good time looking. Down in the very front here, you can see sockets with pins, connectors on every terminal on the socket. I guess could be for a tube tester, could be for experimenting, who knows. Lovely instruments, and another classic set, 3 tubes and 3 coils, it looks like. The coils are labeled with a number of meters, I guess, for that coil. And it does seem to have, I guess there's a 4th tube in the middle there, isn't there? Brown something amplifier, it looks like, Meg. That one is kind of interesting. See if we can blow that up a little bit, make it so we can see it. Are you seeing that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Brown.
London.
So it's London, and it's a microphone amplifier. Interesting. Be fun to open it up and look what's inside. It says what, magnetic something up on the top there. An intriguing piece. I should have taken the time to look inside it, but there are just so many of these, it's hard to get through the show, much less spend much time with any of them. Here's a typical European style medical battery with a vibrator to interrupt the voltage going to the spark coil that electrocutes the patient, I guess. On the left is an older version. You crank that handle that you see, and it swings some magnets around, generates a lot of voltage, and produces more than a slight tingle. and on the right we have another crystal set. So all kinds of stuff on here. This is Franz Pichler, Professor Franz Pichler, and he always has a table there. He's a professor from the university in Austria in Linz, and he's written a large number of books on early radio, early telegraph in European, a number of physical topics, and he's a neat guy, a lot of fun. Some modern, looks like ham gear. I don't an alpha amplifier on the lower left over there, maybe an antenna tuner further left, and
Yeah, that's a Dentron.
which one?
And on the top, it looks like a Dentron.
Okay, yeah, that's an antenna tuner, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we can look at the make it enlarge it a little bit. Yeah, well, it says.
Well, it's the Clipperton L.
Uh-huh.
So it's probably the amp
Yeah,
Maybe.
there's a power amp.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it still has Dentron on the label there from the Dentron Radio Company.
Oh, yeah, the
You're
lower
right.
right corner. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
right there. Yeah. Some interesting military radios. Don't recognize them, but look at the guy. I'm not sure he wants me taking pictures of his radios in the background there, but there are some
Surprised.
interesting sets on this table. Let's see what they are. We can tell. That is difficult to tell. I don't know enough about them, but there are an awful lot of connectors on that thing, so can't just be a radio.
Signal generator.
Yeah, could be. Look at all those knobs down there. Yeah, maybe that's a digital signal generator where you set the frequency in the knobs at the bottom. I can see 5 digits for the thing. Pretty neat. And let's see, psychometer. They misspelled this. This is actually a sling psychrometer. And you swing this thing around, and swing this thing around, you can get the relative
changed
dew
the
point of the air. You go out every day and you swing this thing around in the morning for your weather forecast.
Well,
But
after you swung it, you ask it how it feels.
yeah, and it's for the Italian military too, so they need a psychrometer. Yeah, bunch of different stuff here, ranging from Zeiss 20 by 60 binoculars, which is a pretty hefty binocular. I'm not sure I could hold those steady enough to see.
Yeah, those are pretty serious.
When you get up to that kind of power, you got to hold them pretty steady, and who knows, and looks like a homemade power supply or two down in the foreground, a lot of knobs for sale, and looks like an old general radio up in the upper right. General radio, maybe signal generator. And I guess we could look at what those are, but not really important. See what else we find here. Scarce and very, very rare infrared filter, easily cut, 20 euros. And the question is, what do you do with it? Don't know. Infrared filter. Maybe, I'm not even going to guess outside my. This is a complete spy radio, very popular, late World War II, Korean War, Vietnamese War, multiple parts, has a little tiny telegraph key sticking out of the front of the rightmost of the boxes there, and they all hook together with cables. And it does a pretty good job. The receiver's in the middle, big tuning knob or thumb wheel on the right of the receiver, and the power supply on the left. So you have transmitter on the right, receiver in the middle, power supply on the left, and who knows what's in the middle there.
remote control?
Probably. Okay, looks like test equipment of various kinds. Some military binoculars on the left.
Oh,
And this is a military set that I don't recognize, but it has a label on it somewhere there. Certainly, if you were a military radio collector, you could have fun at this show. This is a package of dosimeters that measure the amount of radioactive exposure that you've been exposed to. I bought one of these and brought it home, mainly for two reasons. The latch on the front is exactly the same as the latch on the front of an Enigma cabinet. And I'm always running short on those. And the second reason was it was only $5 for the whole set. And the third reason was I was thinking I'd throw away all the dosimeters because who needs dosimeters, but I brought them home anyway, and I was giving a talk on I don't know, ecology or something to a group here, and it suddenly occurred to me that everybody's worried about radon in their basement. So I handed out these dosimeters to everybody. There's the thing in the front allows you to set the dosimeter to 0. And the dosimeter has a little vein in it, which creeps over to the right as it's exposed to more and more radiation. So I sent all these people off to put dosimeters in their basement and measure radiation. I didn't really know what I was going to do if anybody showed up with a big reading, and sure enough, somebody did. So they called up the state, whatever it was, department, and they did a better test, and they found they have a real radiation problem, radon problem in their basement. So at least these things went to some use. I was very tempted to leave the dosimeters and the box behind and just take the little clasp on the front, but I figured I left the box, but I did take the dosimeters back, and I still have them. If anybody wants to check their basement, I can bring them to the show. And you just don't blame me if you get a big reading. This is one of those just beautiful, beautiful classic European sets that turn up. You just the kind of thing you really want to have in your collection. This one is made by, what does it say? Burn
receiver, Mark II or something. That must be from England.
It's a Mark II Burn Depot. Depth. Maybe I can enlarge it a little bit more.
The burn depth.
Burn department receiver.
Yeah, burn department or burn depth. Yeah, exactly. Maybe is that wouldn't be from like a.
Yeah, and it's got looks like I wonder if that little label over there on the right, the little round label, is a license that some countries require to have a license in order to use a receiver, and I guess that could have been.
It says BBC on it.
Sorry.
It looks like it says BBC on it, kind of.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it does, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, possible.
And that would be a BBC license.
Yeah,
that's what we used to have to buy in the 50s.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? So that, yeah, it looks like it. So that's the thing you'd have to have in order to use the set legally, I guess, in England. I know they were very, very strict about television sets. They had a little truck that would run around and listen for people's TV local oscillators and go in and fine you terribly if you were running a TV set without paying your license fee. Maybe it was similar with radios. You had to have a license. It looks like it's written in English. Everything's in English, so it's not a German set, which makes it pretty likely that this could be a British set. I see something way over on the left. Maybe we get a clue from that. On the right.
A long time ago, before World War II, they definitely had trucks running around in England trying to get people to license their receivers. So you were lucky if you had a TRF because they couldn't find you. But if you had a super het, they could find you.
Maybe that's why the crystal sets were so popular. You couldn't be found.
No, they were doing They were
What's
doing
that
that
say?
after the war too, because I remember basically the last truck to go around our area. And then
Ah,
it was TV licenses.
yeah. Yeah, the TV licenses were pretty strict, apparently. Let's see if I can get anything off that.
Looks like the resolution is the top one.
Anyway, interesting
Cool.
set.
Yes.
There's another one, I guess it's the same company. You can see up at the top there, and it's right to the left of the set we were just looking at. Got a bunch of switches on it, and just be fun to at least look at the back of it. I didn't think of doing that. Primary condenser, vernier, series, tune, aerial, and earth, burn department receiver. That's
I
just
think the right-hand unit is the audio and the left hand is a receiver. So there should not be a sticker, a BBC sticker on the front of the audio.
okay. Let's see, we don't, yeah, there it is.
There is one,
BBC sticker on that. And
Okay.
it's got a post office registration number too.
Wow, wow.
The plot thickens. And back to reality here, we have, what's this little guy? Ducretet. French set.
Paris.
Yeah, French set, very popular among collectors, and they're pretty well thought of. I don't know the price of these guys, but usually pretty reasonable. This is a very extraordinary microphone. It's a condenser microphone with the amplifier, tube amplifier in the base, and they sell for a great deal of money. I brought back maybe 4 or 5 of them and sold them to people at the AWA conference where they were very popular. But that's a classic European microphone style with the amp right under the microphone. Maybe I can read the maker of the microphone.
It's a very nice Telefunken sign below.
Yeah.
Stuck in below it. What we got there?
Yeah. That may be. I think we're getting
Something lava or the LWA TEL Helva? No. Looks like ALWA is the last letters I can see. What? Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are just signs at the bottom.
Yeah, that got stuck underneath there. Yeah, that's a good looking sign.
Bunch of very nice European telegraph keys in the back. A German key is the black one. Can't see the next one back, but a couple of other telegraph items that are kind of fun. Here's an interesting one. In the foreground, you see a telegraph key on the right there that is made by Junker. And I was roundly criticized when I called Junker's key. If you say Junker with an S, they made airplanes. Junker without the S made telegraph keys, and this is a Junker. And in the back, we have a nice looking set. What is it?
A US set.
Richmond
Hill, yeah.
That's a Greeby.
That's
the Greeby. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Thank you.
GR9, maybe it is. With a tickler on the right there. Pretty nice condition. I don't know if I got the price of this price tag on this one. Most of the people put price tags on their sets, but not everybody. It doesn't look like there's one on the Greeby. What would that go for, do you think? Anybody collect Greebies?
Oh, nowadays, I don't know. I mean, back in 2005, God, you'd spend like $600 on it. But nowadays, I don't really know what they go for.
Yeah.
Working or in really good shape with the tubes. If it was working, maybe 100, 150. I'm not really sure though, Tom. You know, someone like John Terry would know. What I
Yeah.
find interesting though about that key, that Juncker key, is that just it's the only
They're
key I.
just thousands and thousands. They made thousands
Yeah.
of keys that look just like this. It was used in aircraft, in tanks, ground troops used them in stations. The very, very, very nice feeling key with a micrometer adjustment dial on it. And
That's
it's
what I noticed, but I also noticed the button on it is like it's got a center to it, and then the outside. I mean, usually here we have like on the left, you have that Bakelite key. This thing looks like it almost has a ring around it. It almost looks like a knob where you put your finger, basically.
well, yeah, you just grab onto that, and the knob is what you see there. It's got a slight soft spot in the middle to so you don't hurt yourself keying too fast. Notice that it also has an insulated part on the knob, and if it was all set up here, there'd be a case that goes over the whole key to keep people's fingers off and to keep them from being tempted to adjust the adjustments of the key. Very widely used World War II military key. And this one happens to be pre-war or during World War II, because it says Deutsches Reiches Patent, which means the German military patented it. And the Juncker keys that were made after the war have DRBM instead on them, and they are much less valuable than these. These sell for perhaps $250 or so nowadays to key collectors. When I sell an Enigma machine, I always include one of these in nice shape, just to have people get in the mood. What do we have here? Radio selector.
So it must be French.
Yes, I think so. Universal, selector universal, and a bunch of tubes in the top of it. So it's a rather nice looking set. I always find the French sets with the tubes sticking out of the top to be very attractive. The tube on the right looks like it's seen better days, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's not. Glass is broken.
And these are the Volksempfänger. Empfänger means receiver. Volks means people. So there's a Volkswagen, which is the people's car. And these are the Volksempfänger, or people's radio receivers. And they were given out very cheaply to the German people, but they were forbidden to listen to anything other than Hitler's voice on them. And they even imposed a loud tone on top of the BBC broadcast. About every 2 or 3 minutes, the tone would go off. And the idea is, if somebody was listening to the BBC on one of these radios, this loud tone would come out every few minutes, and your neighbor was supposed to turn you in if they heard loud tone coming from your receiver, because you were not listening to the Fuhrer, you were listening to the damned BBC. And the radio, every one of these radios came with a red tag that said, "We want you to enjoy listening to Hitler's voice, but do not listen to any other subversive radio stations under penalty of death." Imagine a radio receiver where they can come and arrest you and drag you off to prison for listening to the wrong signal. Anyway, there are a lot of these around because just thousands, tens of thousands of them were given to every German citizen for a very, very low price, like the Volkswagens were sold to the German people at a very low price. Hitler's idea of a web kind of propaganda, I guess it was. And okay, we have here. I guess we're about over, aren't we, John?
Yeah, I think we're pretty close there, Tom. I would say. Right?
Yeah,
Or it's 5 after 9. But
I'll stop here then, and we'll go on next time. There's plenty more.
oh yeah, and I've got plenty. I still have some photos left from Fall Brookline, but this is great. I mean, this is a lot of fun. Some neat stuff, Tom. Really appreciate you indulging us yet again. with things.
Well,
we've never
at least
seen.
one or two of you ought to come over to Friedrichshafen. It's a lovely place on the shore of Lake Constance. The show takes place in late June, and I guarantee you will see things that you have never even heard of, much less seen.
You know, the scary thing is if I go, is if the hard part is not taking anything home. That'll be the hard part.
No, actually, the German Post, you can send things home. I've sent some very, very big items home at prices that are fairly reasonable. And you can bring a number of things, of course, on the airplane with you, but it really pays. If you take it to the post and you send it by sort of slow boat to China, the price is not very high. For some reason, that ability doesn't exist in America. You can't send surface mail to Europe, as far as I can tell. Everything seems to have to go by airmail, whereas if you're in Europe, you can send things that it'll take you a month to get it, but the price will be really quite reasonable.
Mm. Well, that's
The other
that
thing
was
I
a pretty
discovered, people definitely want American dollars, so you don't have to go with a pocket full of euros.
true. That's definitely on my short list to go, because I also have a friend who lives roughly in that area, in a town or two away, so it would be a win-win. So it's on my list.
Yeah, no, it's neat. I think it probably is the best show in Europe for antique radio and electronic equipment, but I haven't done an in-depth study because this is a very good place to trade Enigma machines, and I'm not going anywhere else. Does anyone else have any clues on really good shows? I imagine there's a really good one in Japan, but I don't know. Okay.
I think I really didn't look at, like I said, Akihabara was the place that I went, and there's a lot to see there, but I never went to Osaka, and my understanding is that there's a very similar place there.
Okay.
I'm not very tall, but the other thing I forgot to mention is that the further you get into these buildings, the shorter and shorter the doorways are and the narrower they are. And I'm only 5'9", but I had to duck my head to get into the places where there were vacuum tubes and so forth. Very, very interesting.
That is interesting, yeah. Sort of like as you bury your way into what's that flea market, Portobello Road in London. If you keep going deeper and deeper into the stalls in Portobello Road, you have to sort of hunch down.
Funny. Great. Well, then I suppose I should allow people to wrap up. I'll unshare you there, Tom. Well, then I guess what I want to do is wish everybody here a happy Thanksgiving and safe travels wherever you may find yourself. And we will meet again in 2 weeks. So that will be, yes, in the first main week in December. So at any rate, stay safe, everybody. It was great having everybody. Thanks for coming.
Great show. Great.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, thanks for indulging us, Howard and Tom. You know, always all this the normal discourse. That's what makes these Zoom meetings a lot of fun.
Take
Appreciate
care,
it.
everybody.
Happy
Have a
Appreciate
great
your efforts.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
7-3.
Bye.